We are Timbersports.
United by passion for the sport and competition.
We chop down racism.
And say yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
Say ja till tolerans.
Yes to tolerance.
Yes to tolerance.
是的，理解宽容。
Powiedz tak tolerancji.
Ja zu Toleranz.
We are Timbersports.
And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. The weather gods have said, no, you're going to get a little bit wet. But the people that are here in the arena, they don't seem to care. And we welcome you in anyway because we are looking forward to some fantastic action. I am Troy Mannering, your host for today, and I am joined by Jolanda Gnedinger. We have been together a couple of times on these events, but this one is extra special because it's more or less like a world championship for the ladies, isn't it?
That's right. Welcome, everyone. So excited to be here. It's going to be an exciting competition.
Yeah, we've got about we've got 3 events that the women are going to be competing in, and 14 fantastic athletes from around the world, including Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Germany, the Czech Republic. I mean, it's going to be really exciting on stage there, and you get to see the best women athletes in timber sports in the world. Right now, though, we're going to go down onto our main stage to Toby Witten, who is our live host on site, and he's going to introduce us to some important people that are going to be taking care of business on our main stage today.
Liebe STIHL Timbersports Fans, ein herzliches Willkommen zum International Women's Cup 2024 hier in Klingenthal. Und natürlich, and of course as well, a warm welcome to the international STIHL Timbersports community all around the world in the live streams. Welcome to the International Women's Cup 2024 live from Germany. Mein Name ist Tobi Witton und ich darf euch hier in der Sparkasse Vogtland Arena durch ein wirklich starhaft besetztes Feld führen von den besten Athletinnen aus der ganzen Welt. Und ich glaube, die Sparkasse Vogtland Arena, die ist es gewohnt, die Weltelite des Sportes zu sehen. Und mit Weltelite meine ich auch genau diese. Spätestens, wenn wir sie gleich hier auf der Bühne empfangen werden, werden wir wissen, warum. Es sind nämlich die besten Athletinnen aus ihren eigenen Ländern. Und die werden sich heute an insgesamt 2 Säge- und einer Axtdisziplin messen. Deswegen möchten wir natürlich auch mal dem globalen Livestream zeigen, wie hier die Stimmung ist. Klingenthal, habt ihr Bock? Sehr schön. Bevor wir also zu den Athletinnen kommen, möchten wir auch noch die Schiedsrichter vorstellen. Und ab jetzt werde ich auf Englisch weitermachen. And now I'm going to continue in English with the introduction of our judges. The first judge from the Netherlands, welcome Mr. Bart Jansen. The second judge, welcome Ruud Meijer. And the third judge is sitting in the video control center. Welcome Jules Jansen on the screen. And now it's time for the introduction of the athletes. Starting with the reigning Australian champion, and she is a STIHL Timbersport athlete since 2017. From Australia, Madison Carley. The next athlete is holding all Austrian national records, and she won the CEST International Women's Cup 2023. From Austria, Juliana Einfalt. She is the Canadian champion of 2023 and the reigning runner-up in Canada, Stephanie Note. And also the next athletes attracted attention with international successes, holding the Czech record on the underhand chop, Karolina Urbanova. She is a forestry and nature technician, and I think that she won the first place of the Nordic Women Cup 2023. Felixia Bank from Denmark. The next athlete is the British champion of 2023, and she's holding the national records in Great Britain on single buck, underhand, and stock saw, Justine Naruza. The next athlete is coming from Bella Italia, winner of the Italian Women's Cup 2024 and holding all Italian national records, Marta Poletti. She is a STIHL Timbersports athlete since 2014, practicing the sports together with her husband and holding the national records from the Netherlands in single buck, underhand, and stock saw, Saskia van Drielen. The next athlete had a long journey, and she's not only the reigning New Zealand champion, but also the last year champion, Anne Patterson. She is a landscape gardener, second place at the Austrian International Women's Cup 2023. From Switzerland, Erin LaVoie. She holds all records in Sweden. And I told you, ladies and gentlemen, we have the best athletes from the whole world. From Sweden, Tove Njostad. And now, Klingenthal, please get ready for the first German athlete. She's the reigning German champion. She won the first place at the Nordic Women's Cup 2023, and she holds the world record on the stock saw, cutting under 10 seconds. Alrun Uebing! The next athlete from Germany, 3 times German champion with a lot of experience in international competitions. From Marburg, Germany, Nina Pokoyski. And last but not least, the American champion of 2022 and 2024, and the reigning champion of the International Women's Cup, and I think maybe the women to beat, holding the world record on the underhand chop, from the USA, Erin LaVoie. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here they are for the International Women's Cup 2024, live from Germany, from Klingenthal, the Sparkasse Vogtland Arena. So enjoy the competition, and now I will give back to Troy and of course to Yolanda. Enjoy.
All right, fantastic. The introduction of our 14 athletes here in Yolanda. I mean, there is a lot of pedigree on that stage as we heard some of the results from these women that are down there ready to go in this competition. As I said, 14 of the best from around the world. It's going to be very exciting today.
It's going to be exciting and very difficult for some of these ladies. There's a lot of pressure on them, and we'll see what they're going to bring to the table.
All right, well, before we get going with that, we have to find out how this competition is going to be worked out. So let's take a quick look at our competition format clip so that you have an idea of how this is going to work today.
The STIHL Timbersports Women's Competition. All athletes will compete in 3 disciplines. The maximum points awarded for each discipline result from the number of participating athletes. The first discipline is the stock saw. The fastest athlete will receive points equal to the total number of athletes competing, down to 1 point for the last place in each discipline. The second event is the single buck. Points remain the same, awarded based on the times, and as with all events, any rule infraction will result in a disqualification, and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. In the final discipline, the underhand chop, it's the athlete's last chance to claim valuable points. The points from all disciplines are accumulated, and the athlete with the highest points total wins the competition.
All right, we're going to get going fairly quickly with the competition here. The stage is set for our first discipline, which is stock saw. Let's take a quick look at the tool and discipline that you'll see on stage in our opening event. The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional STIHL technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks. All right, so there's our start list today with Madison Curley going up against Stephanie Naud right off the bat, and that's going to be heat number 1. And a lot of information for you in that opening clip there to give you a little bit of news about the stock saw. What you need to know is basically there's nothing particularly special about these saws other than the fact that they're steel. There's no adaptations to the chain, the bar, or the motor. It's basically the same tool that you can buy off of the shelf in your local store.
That's right. This way it's the same for everyone.
So here's our first heat coming onto stage, and really, and I mean, you can confirm this, Yolanda, this isn't about power or anything. This is about feeling and hearing and having a good knowledge of the equipment that you're using, because you don't want to push too hard or pull too hard on that saw, right?
That's right. This is all about the technique. So we'll see with these 2 ladies if they've been training. I did speak to Stephanie just on the weekend at the Canadian Championships, and she said this is the year that she has really tried to concentrate a little more on the stock saw event.
Yeah, I think for a lot of these athletes, the motor saw events or the motor saw disciplines are kind of a love-hate. I mean, we've heard it a lot from the men in the hot saw. Some guys love it, some guys hate it. They have to do it, and I think we have the same kind of a feeling with the stock saw as well for a lot of athletes,
That's
not
right.
just the women.
Warm up your saw.
All right, so as this is a hot start, these saws will get started. They'll get blown out really quickly with a full gas, and then they'll be placed on their rubber stability pads on the ground, and we will get this heat going. Madison Curley going up against Stephanie Naud. Remember, this is about points, not about elimination. Here we go.
To your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Both of them with a nice pickup. Madison Curley looking pretty good. That is a fairly fat cookie, though. Stephanie Naud, nice transition on the other side. Madison Curley's got herself a thin one and a good time with a personal best 10.70. And Stephanie Naud gets a personal best 11.26. So clearly she's been working at it.
That's right. You got to love it when they get personal bests.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
All right, so we have our official first times in the books and personal best being dropped right away, which is great. And Yolanda, when we go back to the slow-mos, maybe you can break this down a little bit and kind of talk about what you're seeing with these two women when they cut.
So you can see here, they were both fairly quickly to the wood. Madison was a little faster, had a little wider cookie, so she had to check where she's going to place that saw on the upcut. It did kind of hang on to that cookie as it fell off, so that kind of cost you a couple seconds there. But both of them, very nice cuts, good changeovers, and Madison decided that one for her.
Yeah, it looked a little bit like Stephanie was struggling on her tippy toes to get the saw up the rest of the way, and that might have resulted in a little bit of a slower chain speed on that upcut. But nevertheless, she's got herself a personal best and a good time in the books.
Yeah, you can see she was stepping on the mat. So in Canada, they use like a small piece of carpet and not a form like this one here. So it's something different for her.
All right, Karolina Urbanova coming up next, going up against Saskia van Drielen.
These are two ladies that have competed a few times against each other. Good friends. Saskia's just going to check something. Oh.
They had the opposite stand set up. Okay. Good call from Saskia as Karolina Urbanova comes over to the stand that's closest to our camera position at the moment. So last minute checks, there's a lot of stuff that's going on here. So positioning, you know, checking with the thumb and the forefinger and the pinky finger. I mean, what's this routine all about for athletes when they're setting up here?
So that has to do with your training. You want that optimal cut, and to do that, you have to train it over and over. And measuring with your pinky, that's just a guide for everyone. Does it a little bit different. You have to find that sweet spot so that you can get that perfect cut.
It's really routine, though. Really routine. Okay, here we go in heat number 2.
3, 2, 1, go!
Very quick pickup from Karolina Urbanova. She got under there very fast. That first cookie looks good. Transition from Saskia van Drielen is a little bit slower. Karolina Urbanova with a personal best 10.75, and Saskia van Drielen also dropping a personal best 12.64 here. And that's a nice thin first cookie for Karolina Urbanova. And there's a quick check from Bart Janssen to make sure everything is in order there.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
Two very happy ladies.
Yeah, and our audience happy as well because we've seen 4 personal bests go out the window right away. So the pressure is definitely on to keep these personal bests going.
So you can see here, Karolina was so fast to the wood, and that's very crucial. Right at that point, you can get cut out the most time.
She's got a very thin cookie as well.
She sure did. So that leaves you a little more option for the second cookie, but there's also that chance that you can cut out, which means incomplete cookie.
And here on that final upcut, yeah, the second cookie was a little bit bigger, but she still had a little bit of space to that blue line, which you can see there on Saskia van Drielen's cut, but both cuts are good, and both of these women taking home personal bests in the stock saw at the moment. Karolina Urbanova with the top time of 10.59. Next heat coming up, heat number 3, Irene Murer and Ann Patterson. You can see by their personal bests, they're pretty close as well. Ann Patterson holding the national record for New Zealand.
So you see here, Irene, she's marking her log. That is just a guide to kind of know, good, my first cookie's got to be here, and my second there. Some athletes do it at the top for the second. I personally do it in the bottom, middle, because you're doing an upcut so that you, there where you look, that's where you cut.
You got to be really confident with your markings to be able to put it up top there, or at least your positioning to put it up top on that upcut.
That's right.
Okay, warm up your saw.
You'll see different styles of warming up. Most of them will just give her all they got just to get those torques up, get it ready.
And Patterson's trigger is stuck open.
Ready. Stand to your timber.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
And Patterson quick into it. Oh, Irene Mirror with a different style. She's rocking it back and forth in that first cut. Transition by Ann Patterson on the upcut is nice. She's going to have a good time. It looks like 11:07. Oh, and we've got two more personal bests. 11:71 for Irene Mirror and Ann Patterson with an 11:07. Karolina Urbanova still with the fastest time so far. 10:59 the time to beat. But all these women are so close.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. What do we have here? Yellow flag on the play.
We are checking a video. Okay,
All right,
ladies
so
and gentlemen, stand 1 is good. Stand 2, a DQ. She had not the hands on the saw during the warm-up.
Ah, interesting. That was talked about in the athletes briefing the other day. You have to have both hands on the saw during the warm-up when you're gassing it. So I guess she had one hand on the block and one hand on the saw when she was gassing it at full pull. Maybe we can get that in the slow-mo. Oh, that's disappointing.
That is very disappointing because that is a new rule this year. So it's new to a lot of the athletes. We did discuss it this morning in the athletes meeting. I was there as well, and But if you've been doing it like this in your training, it's so hard to get rid of that within a couple of competitions if you've only just heard about the new law, new rule.
The cuts were very good as well. I mean, the transition for Ann was really nice on the upcut. She had a fast time. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the rules are stated and given out. But like you say, you know, if your routine is the way it is and you're expected to change that routine at the last second, it's tough. All right, moving on to heat number 4 here. We have Marta Poletti going up against Justine Russa. Justine and Marta both holding national records in stock saw. And everybody seems to be cutting really well today.
That shows what these ladies have been. They've been training. They're getting up there and giving us an awesome show.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, quite honestly, you know, the world record of 9:60 for women, that's quick. And these women are not that far off the time. I mean, really, it's just like a pickup that's a second faster, a hair faster, or, you know, maybe a little bit smoother on the upcut, and you've got yourself a world record in no time flat.
That's right.
Okay. Warm up your saw.
So there's 2 ways to warm up your saw, either on the ground or starting it between the knees. Both are allowed.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go.
Really even start by both of these women. Marta Poletti, very thin cookie to start off with. Ooh, the transition looking pretty good for Justine Russa, and a bit of a thicker cookie for Marta Poletti. Justine Russa a little bit slower than her favorite time, but Marta Poletti takes a personal best at 11:41, so well done for her.
But that is a huge cookie that she's got there, so they're checking the line. It's going to be very close.
And that first cookie was paper thin. So I'm really hoping we do not have another DQ, but if they if Marta did in fact cut over the line on that second cookie, then we might have a problem.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, stand 1, DQ, cut the line. However, stand 2, it's good.
So Justine Russa gets a good time there at 12:20, not a personal best for her as she has cut faster. Marta Poletti, unfortunately, a DQ. And let's take a look at this again here and what happened.
So like you said at the start, she had a beautiful cookie, very thin. She had the room to do a cookie, but just sometimes nerves get to you, positioning, and you're just over too far. She did correct it on the way up, but it was already too late.
Yeah, it was a bit of an overcompensation here on the swing. Ah, yeah, you could see
she might have even did a double hit.
And she knew it right away. You could see her shaking her head immediately.
And this is the event where she has the most issues.
Again, it's that love-hate with the motor saw in hand, right?
Exactly.
So next up, Erin LaVoie and Felicia Bank coming out. Felicia Bank holding the national record. And actually, she was a member of Denmark's team at the Worlds 2 years ago and was actually a lot faster than many of the men because her daily life in the woods is dealing with the saws in hand.
That's right. That's her bread and butter. So she's very trained. So it's going to be interesting to see what she does here today. And it's just amazing that she is the first woman to participate in the World Championships team event.
Okay. Warm up your saw. Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, a little bit of a missed grab by Felicia there. Erin LaVoie on the cut really quickly, though. She's got a nice thin cookie. Felicia as well with a nice thin cookie on the upcut. Felicia looking good. Erin LaVoie. Oh, boy! Erin LaVoie with a personal best 11:04. Felicia a little bit slower than expected, and I think that was by virtue of her just missing the handle slightly on her grab by the pickup.
It comes down to positioning of the saw. Is it in the right place like you've trained, or even just a couple of millimeters over?
Okay,
and
ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, so Erin LaVoie slips into third place. Madison Curley sitting in second place, and Carolina Urbanova in first place still, as we take a look at a couple of pretty good cookies there from both of these women.
You see that power of that saw.
Yep.
Very nice cookies.
All right, and right now, Erin is with Toby Witten down on the commentator stage down below. We're going to head down there and get a quick interview with Erin.
Erin, in Germany, first of all, you started at the stock store with a new personal best. You're satisfied?
I didn't even realize it. So when you told me just now, yeah, that's a happy day. It seems to be really nice soft wood. All of the girls are making really fast cuts, which is, it's fun. I hope it's fun to watch. It's fun to compete in. And I'll take a personal best, yeah.
Great. What is your game plan for the next two disciplines?
Well, to win. It's always to win.
Thank you very much. Erin LaVoie.
All right, well, Erin set herself up nicely at the moment in third place, so she's sitting pretty, let's say, as we get ready for our next heat with Juliana Einfalt, who today joins us on stage with blue hair instead of red hair, and Nina Pokoyski. Couple of good times there as well. National record for Austria from Juliana Einfalt, and Nina Pokoyski with a very quick personal best time of 10:37. And if she cuts even close to what she's potentially cutting here and what we're seeing with all of the other women, or almost all of the other women today who have cut personal bests, we may see a change in the standings here. And Juliana Einfalt doesn't seem to be bothered by the pressure of competition at all. She just seems to go out there and do her own thing. It's, hey, whatever happens, happens. It is what it is. I'm having fun.
That's right. She takes it as it is. And that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Warm up your saw.
Little things, if they phase you, then you got to work on that. Mental stability in this competition is key.
All right, Juliana Einfalt, Nina Pokoyski.
Ready.
Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nina Pokoyski with a big, good, fast lift. Einfalt right there with her, though. That's a fairly large cookie from Einfalt. And let's see if she's got a good upcut. Oh, that's a nice thin cookie on the upcut. And Juliana Einfalt with an 11:23. Nina Pokoyski with 11:69. So the last few of our athletes have been slightly slower than their personal best times. And I was talking with a couple of the guys yesterday. They said that the wood can actually change its density from the front few cuts to the back few cuts. How does that work?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
That's right. Wood is a natural product, so you get what you get. But how they decide for this wood, they usually take one log, split it in half to try and make it as even as possible.
All right, well, so far so good. Couple of good cuts there, and we've only had 2 DQs thus far. We don't like to see that at all, but it does happen in competition, and yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Oh, bad jokes. The puns are coming out already.
You see both of them, 2 different angles on the saw by the upcut. Both work very well. You have to figure out what works for you and how you can push that saw to get that pressure on it.
But like you mentioned, it really is about feeling the saw in your hand, listening to the motor, and making sure that it doesn't bog down or slow the chain down or stall the chain, which can be disastrous as far as your timing is concerned.
It sure can.
All right, coming up now, Alrun Uebing, world record 960. So she's got a lot of pressure on her shoulders to try and maintain that speed here in Stocksaw, along with Tove Njostad. Tove has the national record for Sweden as well.
So this situation can be kind of nerve-wracking for the athlete, where you see there's not that much wood left. They did not do a block change, which is good, so that the wood is the same for all the athletes. But you're very close to the stand.
Yeah, and there's only 10 centimeters that you're allowed to cut in, with maybe 5 centimeters to the stand. So a small mistake can tag the saw on the stand, which you definitely don't want to do. But I mean, you know, these are elite athletes as far as it's concerned. I don't think we have a big worry about it, but yeah, you're right. I see what you mean.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Great start by Alrun. She's got a good first cookie. She's looking pretty stable. Tove Njostad on the upcut. Alrun coming close to the 10 seconds. Oh, yeah, 10:44, and Tove Njostad with a 12:09. A great cut by Alrun Uebing, and she actually will move up into the top spot there, pushing everybody down a notch. And Tove Njostad with a 12:09 sits in 10th place at the moment.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we just checked the start. She had a good start from 003 and a good start from 008, so very important. Both girls are good.
Smiles all around.
And Alrun Uebing takes a season's best with that cut as well after the adjustment has been made. So 10:28 for her. So great job and excellent cuts by both.
This first discipline is very important for the mindset. If you can get through it, good time. Because we have only 3 disciplines, we have very little room for error. Very nice cut there by Alrun. You can see she saw the time and she was very happy.
Oh, a little bit of an adjustment there, yeah. I think that probably cost her about a half second there. We're going to head down really quickly before we head down. We're going to take a look at the Stocksaw standings, and as you see, Alrun Uebing at the top with a 10:28, not that far behind Karolina Urbanova with a 10:59, and then Madison Curley with a 10:61. Right now, down in the commentators block is Toby Witten, who is with Alrun, and we'll get this interview in German, I'm guessing, and Toby will translate for us, I hope.
Alrun Uebing jetzt neben mir mit der schnellsten Zeit an der Stocksaw. Ist das nochmal eine extra Motivation auch für die nächste Disziplin? So, you cut it the fastest time at the Stocksaw. Is it an extra motivation for the next discipline, for the competition?
Auf jeden Fall. So ist eine gute Grundlage, das gibt mir so ein bisschen Absicherung. Und jetzt kommt die Single Buck, das gehe ich gleich nochmal in Gedanken durch und dann wird das schon klappen.
She said, yes, of course, it's an extra motivation. Now she's feeling self-confident and is looking forward for the single buck. Now it's time to get the focus. Jetzt muss der Fokus gefunden werden, right?
Bitte?
Jetzt ist Konzentrationsphase für die single buck.
Ja, auf jeden Fall. Muss sein.
So, we are excited to see what is happening next at the single buck. Alrun Uebing, thank you. Dankeschön. Und wir geben nochmal ins Studio zurück zu Yolanda.
All right, so our first discipline is done and dusted. That is the Stocksaw. We saw a bunch of personal best drop, which is fantastic. We do unfortunately have a couple of DQs. That's going to cost a couple of these women points. We're going to go straight into a quick tool and discipline discussion of the single buck, so you know what the single buck is as we know it as the misery whip.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into two types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos and its base price starts at around €1,500. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc from a 40-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
So there we have our start list for the single buck, and keep a close eye on Saskia van Drielen because her husband Rick van Drielen is an absolute fantastic single sawyer, so I'm sure that they've been working a lot on this together to make sure she's on point with this discipline.
Yeah, definitely. It's always great when you have a partner to train with and a very good partner there.
Yeah, you can see she holds the national record for single saw. Madison Curley and 32.45 as personal best, so we're looking for these times to drop. And you mentioned to me quite a while ago at one of the earlier events where when the wood is sawing well, it's maybe not chopping well, and when it's chopping well, it's maybe not sawing well. Today it looks like it's sawing really well. So what can we expect with the single saw here?
I definitely think we're going to expect some very good times. I did hear a little bit of talk today and from the wood yesterday already. The single buck wood should be very good, very soft. So we'll see what these ladies can bring today.
Now, Sterling Hart dropped this on me many years ago. He calls this saw the misery whip. And I know why, but maybe you can explain to our viewing audience what the reason is why they call it the misery whip, because it will make you miserable sometimes.
That's right. This saw can bring you joy or misery. You'll see here, or we'll tell you once they start sawing, how that actually can happen.
Athletes ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, getting right into it. Saskia van Drielen has the advantage of being very tall, and she got a little bit of a hook up there, and it's happened twice to her now, and this is where we talked about
This is where the misery comes
whip.
in.
Meanwhile, Madison Curley keeping a nice smooth flow going with her saw. There you can see Rick van Drielen. He's there helping. This is with assistance, by the way, and now the flow is going for Saskia van Drielen. Madison Curley coming down to the bottom of her cut. Saskia, excuse me, has got there in 28.63, and Madison Curley in a personal best 31.23. Well done for Madison. A little bit of a rocky start for Saskia van Drielen. I was expecting a little bit more out of that one. So what could be some of the reasoning here?
Well, single buck is the discipline that you don't train that much unless you have a training saw.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
So you want to save that saw for your competition. So you do 1 or 2 cuts a year other than the competition cuts. So there isn't a lot of training.
Yeah, and a training saw is not exactly cheap. I mean, we used to say these saws cost around $1,500, but they're actually much more expensive than that with all the laser cutting and hand sharpening.
That's right. And depending on how hungry that wood is, if she started too steep, it can hook up a lot easier. So you got to do that first cut, or by even the in cut that you're doing, you have to kind of see what is this wood going to be like.
And what I found out the hard way too is rocking the saw is not very good, because that will tend to catch the teeth on the edge of your cut going in or going out and stop things. And I mean, restarting this saw is like wrestling a bear.
That's right. You're putting so much power. If you're in the flow and then it's a dead stop, it's not fun to start again.
All right, heat number 2 coming up with Irene Mura and Marta Poletti. Marta holding the national record of 24.06 for Italy, and for such a diminutive woman, she is quite the powerhouse. You can see Alessandro Chiapponi in the background there, who is always on hand for Marta. He supports her in her efforts in the timber sport world, and vice versa. When he's competing in the pro competition, she's right there with him. The two of them travel everywhere together.
Right, that's the best thing about this sport as well, is the family, the how everybody helps one another. It makes the sport what it is.
Yeah, you definitely have a familiar feeling here in the back a lot when you see the athletes helping each other out with their wood and cuts, and hey, maybe choose this axe or that axe. It's a very interesting situation and dynamic compared to, say, other competitive sports where, you know, it's all elbows and teeth.
That's right. You can see here, Erin is just trying to set her saw. There must be a wood chip in it a bit that it wasn't going down, but she's got it and she's getting ready.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Good start by Marta Poletti. A little bit of a sticky start there for Irene Murer.
She's standing a little too close to the block. She should have been a little back farther, but I think that she was missing out on the time to get prepped. They do have a minute to get ready, so it is short.
Oh, and Marta Poletti looking very good. Is she getting down to the bottom of this cut here? Oh, a little stick up at the bottom and really hard to start. Does she have a tab left on there? I hope not. 27.89. Irene Murer is still trying to get through there.
She's definitely struggling with that saw.
Yeah.
Too much. As soon as you get a little bit nervous and start rocking it, then you got to take a deep breath and go again.
And fight through it as well. You know, there's no quitting in these situations, but she's really having trouble on the bottom of that cut.
She's very steep as well, so she's hitting the floor every time and can't use the entire saw.
Yeah, obviously clearly upset by that cut because we know that she's done much better. Her personal best, 23.93, is way off here with a 53.63.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
2 good cuts in the book, but not good times.
Good
Or
cuts,
one.
not good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Marta had a good cut as well. She's the fastest cut so far in the day with a 27.16. Still slower than her personal best time. Let's take a look back here at what happened to Irene.
So it's really crucial that the first 2 holes on that saw, that you do that a little slower and try to build up the momentum and then start using the entire saw.
It's really about keeping the flow going and keeping, you know, a nice rhythm there, right? And I see what you mean by the angle. She was trying to push the saw down into the wood more than she was trying to let it flow through. And right here was that, oh, that came real close for Marta. I mean, literally that little tiny bit could have been a DQ for her if she wasn't super careful.
That's right. You have the opportunity, if you can, to set your saw back up and cut that small piece off, but it costs you so much time.
Yeah. All right, Tove Njostadt going up against Karolina Urbanova next in heat number 3. Really close times between these two. I didn't pay attention if Irene had spikes on or if she was using normal running shoes in this last cut.
No, I think she had spikes on.
Did she? Okay. Because
most
of the women will wear spikes,
yes,
won't they?
That's right. It's just you used to have blocks that you could set to give you something to push up against because it's so much energy and everything going in. You do not want to slide out with your feet. So with the spikes, they have the hold that they need.
Yeah, you can see those are really aggressive spikes as well.
So she only has spikes to the front. Most of the athletes do prefer spikes all the way to the back. Dry off the hands so that you're ready to go because sweat just gets in the way.
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Interesting stance for Karolina as she's got her back foot a little bit away from her line, and both of them going at it pretty aggressively here as well.
So by Karolina, with that back step, she tends to pull the saw around her a bit, which then also causes it to get that like whip form into it.
It works for her though, 24.3 personal best for Karolina Urbanova. And Tove Njostadt with a 25.19. Not her personal best, but she'll take it at the moment. And Karolina Urbanova with a 24.3 takes the top spot in the single buck discipline. And shortly after our last heat, we'll go and take a look at the rankings in the overall and how this changes everything as well, which it will do.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
You also notice that the close-up of Karolina's shoes, she has these rubber, almost like galosh covers on her sneakers. There's no spikes on the bottom, but it's probably a very soft rubber, right?
I'm assuming. I have seen her wear them before, but I thought they were just regular shoes that she wore, not for actually competing, but they work, so...
It almost looks like those rain covers that the men in the 50s used to put on their dress shoes when they would go to work and then take them off at work to keep their shoes fresh.
You can see here now, nice Karolina uses the entire saw, but she's very jumpy with it. I think if she was a little bit more relaxed and not such a tight grab on the handles, it would flow a little nicer.
All right, so Karolina Urbanova is down with Toby at the moment. We're going to head down there shortly so we can get a quick interview with our current leader.
New personal best for you, Karolina, at the single buck. What is important in this discipline? What is your recipe of success?
This year it would be like not to crack the cookies because it happens to me in last competition. So that was only my one thing in my head that was going on there. So I didn't do it, so I'm happy.
Great. You brought a lot of fans from the Czech Republic. What would you like to say to them?
They are best. They have they made for me like T-shirts with my face on it, and they are cheering me up, and I'm really happy that they come.
Thank you very much. Karolina Urbanova.
And there's our audience braving the rain here today. Fantastic that they're out here with us, and we appreciate their... you know, we say in German, Tapferness, right?
Yes.
I do have a question, though, because she mentioned breaking the cookie off. Now, we've seen that before where the cookie can break off and leave that tab. We mentioned it with Marta Poletti. It was a mini thing that didn't affect her, but it can break off. And you mentioned that she's got that back foot out a little farther and bends the saw, and coming back in, that can bow the saw, and that's one of the reasons why maybe she breaks off more often than others.
That's right. That bowing actually puts more pressure onto the cookie on the saw, and then it pops it right off. So meaning that half her cookie is cut, the top half breaks off, and if she's lucky and notices it quick enough, she can keep her saw on there and keep cutting, but most of the time the saw will spring off.
Okay. Learning something every day here, folks. Next heat, heat number 4 with Ann Patterson from New Zealand going up against Nina Pokoyski. Tail of the tape has the advantage going to Nina Pokoyski, who's got a 1951 personal best, and Patterson with a 28.4, but both of them pretty quick single sawyers. Now, this is something I see often, and you educated me on this a while back as well, that the athletes will sometimes put the saw in upside down, teeth up, and give it a slide back and forth. This is twofold. This is to clean out any of the dust and chips that are sitting in that pre-cut slot, and also to get the feeling for the movement, correct?
That's right, and to be able to place your feet so that you know where you want to stand. But because they only have a minute time, usually doesn't allow for that anymore.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nina Pokoyski with a good start. She got that saw moving right away. And Patterson, it took a little bit to get it started, but now she seems to be into the flow. And like you said, she almost looks like she's gripping that handle and maybe holding her breath a little bit too much. Nina Pokoyski breathing through each of those draws as she gets down a bit deeper. Her shortcut. Oh, my goodness. And Patterson with a 1950 coming from behind. And Nina Pokoyski finding a little bit of trouble at the bottom of that cut.
Yeah, I think that wood is very hungry, which is causing them to hook up. They're not ready for it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both goods are good.
So with a really troubled start for Ann Patterson, she came back with a vengeance in the middle of her cut and managed to get a personal best and also the fastest time so far in single buck.
So you can see here she's hooking it up a bit at the very first part, those first two pulls. But once she gets that saw moving, she's got a good flow to it. Nina's got a very good flow. It's also very important that they use the entire saw. They did pay for the whole thing, so.
Yeah, and did they ever. Yeah, for Nina Pokoyski, it was right there at the bottom. It gave her a little bit of trouble. Too much angle, maybe?
That could possibly be, yes.
Okay, next heat, heat number 5 of 7 in the single buck. We have Justine Narusa going up against Felicia Bank. Both of these really quick times, national records each. Justine recently engaged, and her husband, or not husband, fiance, along for the event with her to give support.
So you can see here, the judge, Bart Janssen, has a metal piece in his hand, so that is to actually measure to make sure that the in-cut is the same for every athlete.
Noticed yesterday, too, though, that he can eye it almost always with his experience now. He can say, okay, that's far enough. He'll put the thing up and say, perfect, there you go, just stay. So that's what experience brings you as a judge.
Indeed. Again, you see the backward saw in there. She's got to put it back in. So there can be the chance that you see a little bit of wood sticking up there, that gets caught in it. So you got to decide if you want to do it or not. Counting the teeth to make sure that it's at the right position.
And again, just like the stock saw, the single buck is very set in routine with the setup and stance and positioning.
Ready. Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
I mentioned yesterday, too, as Great Britain has a lot of excellent single sawyers, and Justine Narusa is showing why that is a tradition there. And Felicia Bank right now, Felicia, is also sawing quite well. Justine Narusa looking really good as she comes down to the bottom of that cut. Felicia around the middle point here. Justine a little bit of a hookup, 24-7 for Justine. And Felicia a little bit slower at 25-21. So that puts Justine in 3rd place in single buck and Felicia in 5th place. This is unofficial, of course.
So Felicia will not be happy with that time. She has sawed a lot better, and she has a great saw. She has been doing some training. She did go visit J.P. Mercier, who made that saw. So, yeah, I don't think she's going to be all that happy about that cut.
And these saws need to be hand sharpened as well, don't they?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Every single tooth.
Good.
I love how you say that. Every single tooth. Ugh. Okay, we're going to take a look at the slow-mos here, and then we'll head down to get a quick interview with Justine after that cut.
So you can see here, Felicia, she tends to pull the saw around her as well, and it tends to bend. So once it's bending and you're trying to push it back through, it bends even more. The key is really to keep that saw straight. Oh, almost pushed off that cookie, so that is also very important. Last 2 pulls. Usually you tend to slow down a little bit for those last 2, and that's when that can happen. It's very hard to keep it in your mindset to just give her all you got to the end.
How did you prepare for the International Women's Cup in advance?
Oh, I have a great team behind me. I have my coaches. Andrew Evans, Rob Owens, and Rob Chatley as well. They've been pushing me. We have arranged training camps and sessions. It's been fantastic. So without them, I wouldn't be here.
Great. Now we have just one discipline is coming. How will you find your focus now?
I just need to go for it. I've been training hard. I have put the hours in, a lot of sweat and tears. I just need to go for it. I have to just do my best.
Thank you, Justine.
Thank you so much.
All right, coming up to our second to last heat here, heat number 6 between Alrun Uebing and Stephanie Naut. Both really, really close personal bests. This could be an interesting heat between these two. I should also mention, I keep saying heat, but you know, it's they're head-to-head on stage, but they're not eliminating each other. It's about getting those fastest times possible to gain as many points as possible for the overall standings.
It would be interesting to see those overall standings after this discipline.
Very. There's going to be some shuffling for sure. Now, I do believe that Alrun Uebing has the world record in this discipline without assistance, correct? And this is with assistance, so it's a different type of cut as well. And how does that change, other than the fact that you've got somebody that can wedge at the top and prevents it from binding on the saw, right?
That's right. The wedge, it does help a bit. You will see that when you compare the two events with and without a wedge, it allows for a little bit of a gap so that saw can flow easier.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
I watched Stephanie Naut's practice cuts earlier on, and it was very quick. Alrun Uebing got a little bit of a slow start there as she hooked up right off the top, but Stephanie Naut looking very good as she's getting to the bottom of this cut, and it's going to be a quick one, I think, for Stephanie. It is a 14.84 personal best for Stephanie, representing Canada well. And Alrun Uebing a little bit slower on her cut today with a 21.55, and she kind of shrugs her shoulders and goes, yeah, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I know she was hoping for a better time today. She was hoping to get that record because she was always so close. But Stephanie Naut is just an incredible sawyer. She's got the height. She can pull that saw. She probably has one of the longest saws here today, because it is kind of in respect to your height is how long your saw is.
Yeah, and if you can utilize that entire length of the saw, you're going to cut efficiently, and that means quick.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
Love the handshake, these girls. They all know each other, and they all help each other, even though they are competing against each other.
All right, let's take a look at this. Great start from Stephanie there. Alrun, a little bit of a chunky start.
You can see here how Stephanie is breathing with every pull, with every push, and that is very crucial. A lot of the times you hold your breath because you're thinking, oh, I'll have more power, but that's not the case. Nice long strokes right there, very good. That was an excellent cut.
And she was happy with that as well.
A shrug, but it's a good time. One in the book.
All right, next up, our last heat in single buck, and that is Juliana Einfalt, who holds the national record for Austria, going up against Erin LaVoie from the USA with a personal best of 14.96.
So here it's very crucial that the saw is straight, that it's parallel to the block, because even the slightest angle on it means you are cutting at a diagonal, which you're just automatically cutting more wood. A lot of lube on that saw there, very important.
And using the glove to reposition so they didn't get any of that lube on her hand either. You don't
That's
want a
right.
slippery hand on that handle.
No.
And this is a question I've often asked because, you know, sometimes you see the upper handle taped, the lower handle taped, sometimes neither handle is taped, and I often wonder if a rotating handle will be good. And you see here by Juliana, she's got a wooden handle, and some have metal handle. What's the advantage or disadvantage, or is it even a thing?
Stand to your timber.
I think it depends on the athletes themselves, what they prefer.
1, go!
All right, good start by both of these. This is probably the cleanest start we've seen all day long. Juliana Einfalt getting right into it. Erin LaVoie keeping that flow going, and nice rhythm by Erin LaVoie. She's more than halfway through. She's almost at the bottom of this cut here, and she's going to have a good time with 15.82. Great job by Erin, and Juliana Einfalt with an 18.85. Great runs there, and that puts Erin LaVoie in second place in the single buck, with Juliana Einfalt slipping into third place there and pushing everybody else down. And Stephanie Naud's time of 14.62 will stand as the fastest time in single buck today. So well done by the Canadian.
Erin is also very happy with that time.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, so our stage crew will get in there, clean up that stage as we take a look back at the slow-mo. And this is, like I said, probably the cleanest start from a pair on top ever.
That's right. Even though you can see that by Juliana, the saw is still a little bit jumpy, I think she could get a lot more out of it if she was a little bit calmer. Erin has really a nice, smooth technique there. And you can see her helper putting in the wedge in. That is Matthias Klima. It is so great to have the male athletes here helping them out, supporting in every way they can.
And it shows a lot of respect for the women's sport as well.
That's right.
Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the results from the single buck as we see Stephanie Naud on top with the fastest time of 14.62, followed by Erin LaVoie and Juliana Einfalt, Anne Patterson, and Karolina Urbanova, the top five. Let's take a look at how that adapts or changes the overall standings here, as we're going to see a lot of shifting around going on there. There you go, Stephanie Naud on top with Erin LaVoie right behind here. So going to that underhand chop, it's going to be a battle of the 49th parallel for points. Karolina Urbanova and Alrun Uebing in third and fourth, and Juliana Einfalt in fifth place right now. So it is still all to play for among the top five. Even Felicia Bank is still in the mix a little bit. So there are points to be had in this last discipline.
That's right. It's going to be, depends on what form you're in, how your axe is working, how that wood is coming.
Yeah, and I mean, the weather is playing a little bit of a role today. Hopefully that's not going to affect our athletes too much on stage for our last and final discipline of the day, and that is the underhand chop. Let's take a look at the tool and discipline there.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand-sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes use an axe to cut through a 30-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, getting right into it. It is our final discipline of the day, the underhand chop, and here is where points need to be earned for those top athletes to get into one of the top 3 positions for a podium today, and for some of the other athletes out there to try and gain some points on the international stage as well, which is also quite important. Saskia van Drielen will be going up against Irene Murer. They come up on stage right now, and we can see Saskia holds the national record at 122.78, and Irene with a personal best 53.26. What can we expect from these ladies here today on the underhand?
So I definitely hope that they can get a new personal best, just because we are already so late into the season. They've had a lot of time to train, and from what I hear with this wood today, there should be some records possibly.
The rumor has been flying that the wood is chopping well, so we'll see how that goes down for these women here today. But you did mention, and we talk about it quite a lot, it is a natural product. There can be, you know, you open up that first cut and you get a dark spot in there, which usually indicates a knot.
Ready.
Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Saskia van Drielen getting some big drivers in right away and chipping out nicely. Irene Muir on the other side, opening it up, and oh, a big slab came off of Saskia van Drielen's block. There we see the block from Irene Muir. Both of them cutting really nicely here, opening up that first side very well.
That's it. You can see how far in that axe is going in. That means they picked the right axe. The wood is good. Now it's really a question of the tempo. Can they bring it? Can they get those hard hits in to get rid of that wood?
And Saskia van Drielen moving over to the second side of her block she would have been about a half stroke ahead of Irene Muir, except Irene moved over a little bit faster, and then they both got those drivers in at about the same time. So at the second side, they're both pretty evenly matched up here as the power drivers come down from both of them. So those second sides from both of them are a little bit more closed, aren't they?
Yeah, so they are getting tired.
There it is. Irene Muir with a 102.19 and Saskia van Drielen with a 104.13, a personal best. Good job.
That is very nice to see that her personal best has come down so far.
Yeah, it's a significant drop in personal best from a 122.78 to a 104.13. So great job by her. And this is a taxing event. Let's not hold any bones about it, you know. You've got that heavy axe in your hand and you've got to do that work.
Both cuts are good.
Both very happy with that cut.
So here comes the quick change crew, and we like to call them our Formula One wood pit crew.
Yes, without them, most of these competitions would not be possible.
Yeah, it takes forever to clean up the deck with you guys sweeping on your own here. All right.
So you see nice hard hits. You did see how one piece flew off. We now do have a new option of, instead of nailing the wood, to screwing it, which is supposed to also stop a slab.
Yeah,
if it does happen,
you can see the screws there by the right foot of Saskia van Drielen there. And in the meeting, I saw that there are 3 screws on each side, so 6 screws in total. And they do give a guideline to where to put them in to try and prevent the slabbing.
That's right. And when they're in like this, with those measurements that they required, if it slabs, it is not a slabbing rule.
Yeah. All right. So coming up next, we've got Ann Patterson going up against Justine Narusa. Both of them holding national records under a minute. And if what you say is in fact true, Yolanda, that the wood is cutting well, which it seems to be, maybe we'll get some fast times from 2 very good axe women here.
So Ann is just putting a little bit more lube on her axe. This does help, just with at least the first 2-3 hits to get that wood out. And
that many hits, really? I thought it was only the first 1 or 2, maybe max, because of the lube coming off of the axe fairly quickly.
So with the spray, it comes off quicker than the lube. The lube is a little thicker, so it does tend to stay a bit longer.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, a big instant driver from Ann Patterson. She got right into it very quickly. Justine Narusa on the other side. You can see her really working those heavy drivers. Ann Patterson's got a little bit more pace than Narusa does, but Narusa's got a lot of power in her hits. Onto the second side for Ann Patterson. Narusa a little bit behind the gun right now as she is still working on that first side, and now move over to the second side of hers. Ann Patterson opening up a little bit more on the front side of her block here on side 2. And Justine Narusa also coming along. Oh my goodness!
Wow!
Wow! Ann Patterson with a 32.64 personal best. An incredible time. And Justine Narusa is going to do the same.
Also a personal best.
40.25. Great job.
This is good wood today. Good wood.
Good wood. Nice and clean, no dark spots, and it's cutting quickly, and that we're seeing as in the results here. And Patterson with a fast time today, 32.38.
Both cuts are good.
Justine, give us a little salute there.
Big hits here by Ann. You can see the power that she puts in. She doesn't have the pace yet with the first few hits, but they go in so deep.
But it seemed to me like she picked up the pace later in the first side, and then on the second side, she was just really quick.
That's right. You see here also how they really hit their lines. They are just a guide, but they, through all that training, they perfectly hit them. You don't see a big staircase in their blocks, and that shows really that how good these ladies are.
Fantastic. Well, we've got Ann Patterson down with Toby right now.
And first of all, congrats to a new personal best at the Underhand Chop. But let's start with a start into the competition. What are your thoughts about your start?
Yeah, it wasn't a great start. That's a really new rule that they've just brought in. And it just, old habits. And yeah, so unfortunate. Pretty gutted about it, but I'm just trying to make it up for it in the single and the underhand. So, yeah.
And would you say it was a kind of, now I have to deliver, now it's necessary to deliver?
Yeah, you can either take it one or two ways. You give up or you got to work harder. So I chose to work harder and try and come out on top still.
Thank you very much. Ann Patterson.
So Ann referring to that disqualification in the stock saw earlier on because of having a hand on the machine and a hand on the block. And yeah, you know, she even said habits die hard. But she did a great job here, and that 32 seconds is going to be really difficult to beat as our next two athletes come out onto stage, and that's going to be Marta Poletti and Nina Pokoyski. Also two really evenly matched up women as far as the underhand chop is concerned.
Last preparations for the axes.
What am I seeing on her handle there? Is that like a chalk line setup, or is that tape that's been taped under her handle for Marta?
That's chalk that you put on, just like regular chalk that climbers use just to help your hands sweat, depending on what the weather's like.
Okay.
It just helps to hold onto that axe.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Nice start by Marta Poletti on the left-hand side of the stage in blue, and Nina Pokoyski on the right-hand side of the stage in the black. Marta cutting for Italy and Nina cutting for Germany, and both of them looking really good on this first side as they too are getting in nice and deep on their hits.
Marta already on the other side.
Yep.
Big hits there. Wow, look at those pieces flying out of there.
Yeah, she's got some nice chips coming off of that block, and Nina Pokoyski's onto the second side of her block, but she's about 8 drivers behind Marta on that second side. Let's see how long it's going to take Marta to get it. Yo, she's done it. 36.59 for Marta Poletti, a new personal best. Great job. Nina Pokoyski still struggling a little bit on the second side. She's got a little bit of a closed face on that second side, but we can see she's fairly close here as that axe gets through, and she splits it at 50.99. I'm pretty sure that's going to drop a bit in time as well once the Competition Control Center has their hands on it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Both girls are good.
Genau diese Worte vom Bad Herzen abgegraben. Damit Marta Poletti ebenfalls zu einer neuen persönlichen Bestzeit, zu einer Verbesserung von roundabout 8 Sekunden.
So Marta Poletti dropped 8 seconds off of her time and is sitting in second place in underhand chop with a 36.40. About 4 seconds behind Ann Patterson's 32.38. So she did put a little bit of pressure on that fast time, but she's done a great job to get herself into a good position.
That is a super time for her. I know she's been working on that underhand quite a bit.
She also has the drawback of having that DQ in the stock saw. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this all goes. And once these slow-mos are done, we're going to head back down to Toby Witten, who is going to be with Nina Pakoyski to get a quick interview and translation from our German competitor as Marta Poletti steps off her block in 36.40 seconds.
Nina, lass uns mal ganz kurz auch in die Analyse vom Underhand gehen. Die Axt hat so ein bisschen gesteckt, das hat Zeit gekostet. Woran lag das? Ich werde es ganz kurz auch noch übersetzen. So, on the Underhand, Nina, your axe stuck a bit. Why?
Ich denke, es lag einmal daran, dass ich auf der zweiten Seite nicht gut den Winkel getroffen habe. Und dazu kommt, ich hack mit meiner Lieblingsaxt und die hat vorne leider schon eine Delle und eine kleine Macke, was nicht so vorteilhaft ist.
So after the turn, she didn't hit the right angle. That's the reason why the axe stuck a bit. But all in all, to compete at the International Women's Cup, it's a great honor, right? Also es macht schon Spaß, hier beim International Women's Cup mit dabei zu sein.
Definitiv. Also wir deutschen Frauen freuen uns auf jeden Fall, dass die Nationalität da ist und dass wir einen großen Wettkampf haben. Das macht es spannender, definitiv für uns Frauen. Und das ist spannend, wer am Ende gewinnt.
So she said definitely it's a great honor, and of course it's more exciting to compete against the international athletes. Thank you, Nina Pokoyski.
I think the sentiment will be the same across the board for all of our women competing here today, that it's exciting to have as many international women here all at the same time, to be able to exchange skills and exchange levels and exchange, their abilities and just see where they all stand in among the international elite of timber sports.
That's right. This is the second time that we had this opportunity, so it's wonderful.
All right, next up we have Juliana Einfalt going up against Felicia Bank. Felicia struggled a little bit on the chopping disciplines. She's more adept at the sawing disciplines. Let's see if she's managed to get herself into a good stand. I mean, she still has good times. Both of these ladies are very matched up as far as their times are concerned. So let's see if they're cutting well today.
3, 2, 1, go!
They're in sync with each other on the first two hits, and now Felicia Bank picks up the pace a little bit as she's actually hitting a little bit at a quicker pace than Juliana Einfalt. Juliana has also now started to pick up the pace as they get into the block a little bit. A little bit of a sticky one for Juliana. She moves over to the other side, one stroke ahead of Felicia Bank on second side here, and they start getting to that second side, opening up that face on the second side of this block. Who will get through there first, and what are their times are going to look like is the interesting thing. Juliana Einfalt looks like she's going to get through in a good time here as she's coming pretty close, and she's done it in a personal best 35.14, and Felicia Bank is not that far behind, I don't think. She might even get herself a personal best, but she's going a lot of straight cuts in there. I think it's gone through, but she's going to go one more hit, and that's going to cause a little bit of a change in her time, I think. But she's still got a personal best 44.35. So that is a great time for Felicia Bank.
I'm so glad she got back up on there and did that last hit, because it was really...
It's so
I don't think
tricky,
it was
though.
through.
Yeah, it's so tricky because you see the block drop over.
Both girls are good.
I was just going to say, you see the block drop over, but sometimes that little thread is just holding on, and our judges are so picky with that stuff. They want to make sure it's absolutely cut through.
They are, and it's good that way that they do check, because they want to make sure it's fair for every athlete here.
Right.
You can see here the ladies have a second axe here. They have that on stage in case something happens with the first one. There's a knot or something's just not right, the axe handle has a crack in it, they have the opportunity to switch and finish their event.
We saw this yesterday with our British athlete in the newcomers event. He actually broke the axe handle, pushed the axe out, and got his new axe or his second axe and had to cut through. So it does happen.
It also can happen that the wood's really sticky. Even though you tested it, you're still not happy, and you are allowed to switch then as well. But you got to think, how much time is that going to cost me to switch over?
Yeah. And what I loved about that scene, what we just saw passing on screen, is that after Juliana got through her cut, she saw that Felicia was still cutting, and she started cheering for her. So next up on the underhand chop is our Fisher woman there with the hat, Karolina Urbanova, going up against Tove Njostadt. You were kind of giggling about the hat because
I
she
love
says
the hat.
It's a kind of, I think it must be like a good luck charm, like a teddy bear or something, because you said she always wears it in all the pictures.
Yeah, it's her trademark. So there now you can see she took the rubbers off her shoes. It's a good idea. You want to keep them dry because once you're on that block, you do not want to slip off of it. You do not have spikes on there because you have to be able to move.
You also notice that the athletes are wearing soft shoes. Don't worry, folks. Underneath those shoes are chainmail socks, yes?
Yes.
Chainmail socks. So you can break a toe, but you won't cut your foot.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Karolina and Tove getting into it right away. Tove Njostadt from Sweden on the far side of the stage here in yellow. Karolina Urbanova in the white. And Karolina Urbanova over to the second side of her block very quickly. Cutting well today by the looks of it. Oh, she might be through in a very good time. Is she going to have the fastest time of the day is the question as she gets towards the 30-second mark here, and it looks like she might be close. Oh, but it's getting a bit sticky there. She steps down, and she's going to have to do one more hit to get through, but it's a 33:18. I think that time is going to go up a hair, so she's not going to have the fastest time of the day, but she will be right there. And Tove Njostadt through in 45:05, so a little bit slower than her personal best.
So you saw that the axes, they were sticking a little bit by these two ladies.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Both cuts are good.
Still new personal best.
Yep.
So that
personal
stays.
best for Karolina Urbanova with a 34.77 slips into second place, and Tove Njostadt with a 44.74 in sixth place here in the underhand chop.
So just by that second hit from Karolina, you could see she did do a wrong hit. The axe slipped and went into the other side of where she actually wanted to. So that definitely cost her a few seconds.
All right, we're going to go down to Toby, who has Tove Njostadt there for an interview after these highlights are done. And you can see the quick turnover on the far side there from Karolina. And Tove was about 2 or 3 drivers behind. Quick step down there, and she was through. Decided to probably on the safe side
step down.
take another cut through to make sure that she was cut.
Yeah, it's crucial that you are on the block for that.
So Tove, a lot of athletes cutting a new personal best today. What is the reason for that, in your opinion?
Well, we have really good wood, and I think everybody is bringing the best, and this is the time to shine, and they are, so.
And how do you like it to compete against the world athletes from Australia, from the USA, New Zealand? Is it also possible to learn from them?
Yeah, learning a lot, and just so nice to be here with everybody and everything, so I love it.
Thank you. Tove, thank you very much.
All right, we're down to our last 2 heats here with the underhand chop. Alrun Uebing going up against Madison Curley from Australia. Alrun holding the national record of 38.79. Still, Ann Patterson of New Zealand has the fastest time of the day with a personal best 32.38. So the question is, will one of the remaining 4 athletes be able to cut through fast enough to catch up to that fast time?
So here you can see by Alrun the chainmail that we were talking about earlier. She has it on the outside of her pants. The rest of the athletes have it underneath the pants.
And again, like I said, I mean, you know, with that axe, if it impacts your foot, you're going to break something in your foot, but at least you won't cut your foot badly, which is the idea behind the prevention with that chainmail.
Okay. Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Alrun Uebing getting in there quick. Those are some fast drivers from Alrun. The German really putting the pace on. And as is typical for Australia, Madison Curley also getting into it with pace. Who's going to switch over to the other side first? It's going to be Madison Curley getting onto the other side first, and she is already quick on that second side. 3, 4, 5 drivers ahead of Alrun. Alrun having trouble finding the stance on her block again as she stepped down 2-3 times before she got started. So definite massive advantage for Madison Curley as she's going to do one more driver to get through in a 36.46. Not the fastest time of the day, but a very good time. Alrun Uebing, by virtue of having stepped down off that block 3 or 4 times on the second side, was a little bit slower, but she does it in 46.84. Another thing that judges are investigating and looking for on these blocks when these women have finished cutting is to make sure that the footholds aren't cut, which is also an important safety aspect.
Ladies and gentlemen, both cuts are good.
All right, so no DQs thus far in our underhand chop, which is fantastic to see, and we're thankful for that. The only DQs that we've seen in the day have happened during the stock saw, and only 2, if I believe.
Yes, that's right. There was just D2.
That.
Unfortunate, those 2, because it cost those ladies a lot of points. But you can see right now by Alrun here, she's got some really hard hits, but by her changeover that we here, we see it, she does a step down, gets back up, and another one. So that balance is really crucial on that block.
Yeah. And I mean, you're not standing on a lot of material either. It's like maybe 15 centimeters of foot space there from front to back.
That's right.
There, that final driver from Alrun to get through, and I think she was just more or less happy about being through it after those step downs. She knew she wasn't going to get a good time. All right, Erin LaVoie holding the world record in this discipline, 23.61, and Stephanie Naud with a very good and fast time, 28.62. So let's see what these 2 women can pull out of their chainmail socks on this one.
So Erin set that world record this year at the U.S. Championship. So we'll see. This wood is great, so who knows?
Ooh. But it's also renowned for the U.S. Championships is that they tend to have a bit softer wood over there, don't they?
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, both Stephanie and Erin getting into it right away. Erin getting some nice big chips. Stephanie's got a few that came off a little bit later than planned, I think. But Erin LaVoie, look at the accuracy of her cuts. Wow, onto the other side. And that was a quick changeover for Erin LaVoie as she's on that second side. Stephanie over on the second side now, about 3 drivers behind Erin LaVoie as they're just passing the 20-second mark here. Erin getting through it in a 26.24. Oh, and a personal best for Stephanie Naud at 26.56. So that puts Erin LaVoie and Stephanie Naud in positions 1 and 2 respectively. Ann Patterson gets pushed down to 3rd place. Wow, that's going to make a lot of changes in our overall standings here when we get done with the final checks.
That was crazy. Those last hits from those 2, who was going to get it? Unreal.
It was close.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, both girls are good.
I mean, the difference between those two was marginal, 1.54 seconds. That was so close at the end. But Erin LaVoie, wow, I mean, you know, for the amount of size that she has, she's got an amazing amount of power. I mean, it's insane.
She is a powerhouse right there. You can see here the last hits.
Oh, it was 1-2 extra hits by Stephanie that cost her that, because you saw it break open. Same thing we saw with earlier, a couple of the athletes. It just didn't drop out for her, and it maybe would have been a really lot closer there. You can see she steps down, step back up, and got that last hit. And you can see Erin LaVoie in the picture right there going, whoo! That was fantastic. What a run for both of them. Well, that's keeping it interesting. Erin LaVoie takes the top honors on the underhand chop with the fastest time of the day. Not a personal best. That would be a world record. Stephanie Naud with a 27.48 and Ann Patterson with a 32.38. So 6 seconds off the top time pace-wise. And those are your top three in the underhand chop. Let's have a look how that affects the overall standings here and our final results. And there you have it. The 49th parallel dominates here today. Erin LaVoie on top for the U.S. and Canada. In second place with Stephanie Naud and Karolina Urbanova with a great showing today. She did hold on to that top spot for quite a while because of a very good, in fact, an excellent underhand chop. So she takes third place on the podium today. Juliana Einfalt and Alrun Uebing. And we're going to go down right now for an interview with Toby Whitten and Erin LaVoie.
The title of the International Women's Cup. What are your feelings right now?
Thank God, because I don't want to go home, you know, not winning. We noticed that we don't have the names on the back of our jerseys because we're not really here for us. We're here for our countries, and I didn't want to go home a loser to them. So very happy for that. Very excited and happy to be here to begin with. It's just an awesome opportunity hanging out. I had to keep reminding myself that you are in fact at a competition because it's just been so much fun hanging out with the other ladies, and you know, it's a great day.
Is there somebody in the live stream you want to thank?
Matthias, he has been taking care of me. I've got to fly in a couple days early, so he brought me to his home, him and his wife, and he put me on a couple blocks of wood, and he's been taking care of my axes and brought the saw on stage to me. Big helper. Thank you to him. For sure, I don't know what would have happened, but he got my axes ready, and he's just in my corner today, and everybody needs somebody in your corner, so I was happy to have him.
Congrats, Erin LaVoie. Thank you.
So very happy and very humble Erin LaVoie, thanking Matthias Klima for being in her corner and helping her out with the axes and the saws and everything. And we saw that a lot today. They weren't just one or two of the male athletes here helping out. There were other male athletes that were not participating in the competition the day before that were here to support the women. And that tells you, like I said earlier on, the respect that there is for these women athletes and this sport as it progresses and moves along.
That's right. It's so nice to see. And like Erin said, you need somebody in your corner. And if it can be another athlete, that's your best option. And you have the best chance in that way.
And that's awesome. Well, we're going to get ourselves ready for the award ceremony. They're building everything up, down on the stage there. Up, down on the stage. Does that make sense? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I've never made sense in a lot of my life anyway. So we're going to head back down to Toby on the stage for the award ceremony, where we'll get our top three on the podium and have some fun watching the champagne shower, and then we'll say our goodbyes. Or maybe not.
Und für die Siegerehrung möchte ich euch natürlich zunächst den Offiziellen auch vorstellen. Head of Marketing STIHL Germany, Michael Lier. Und jetzt ist es an der Zeit, die 14 Athletinnen nochmal zu feiern. And now I'm going to continue in English. Place number 14 for Saskia van Drielen. Place number 13 from Switzerland for Erin LaVoie. Place number 12 for Marta Poletti. Place number 11 for Nina Pokoyski. Place number 10 for Felixia Bank. Place number 9 is going to Sweden, to Tove Njostad. Place number 8 for Justine Naruza. And place number 7 is going to Ann Patterson. Place number 6 for Madison Colley. Place number 5 with 27 points is going to Alrun Uebing. Place number 4 with 31 points for Juliana Einfalt. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the podium with 34 points. The bronze medal of the STIHL Timbersports Women's International Cup is going to Karolina Urbanova. And of course, the fans from the Czech Republic are celebrating. And now, the silver medal with 37 points are going to the Canadian athletes, Stephanie Node. The medal handed over from Michael Lear, Head of Marketing in STIHL Germany, and now it is time to celebrate again. Stephanie Nord. Okay, we are coming to the champion of the STIHL Timbersports International Women's Cup 2024 from the United States of America, Erin LaVoie. Here she is, defended her title. And now, in honor for the winner, we are hearing the national anthem of the United States of America.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
One of the best parts.
They know how to celebrate. So please, Klingenthal, give it up
Oh, and
once
it
again
burns in the
for
eyes.
14 athletes.
Hey, if you know how that feels, then you know you've been on the podium, so that you know you can feel good about that burning on occasion. Folks, we hope you've enjoyed things today. As you saw really briefly, there was a hashtag on screen. If you want to get involved in the conversation,
And of course,
hashtag
I would like
Steel
to
Timber
thank
Sports
you,
or hashtag
dear
Kiss My Axe. It has been a fantastic day today with all of the action we've seen on stage here for the Steel Timber Sports Women International Women's Cup today, 2024. We've seen 2 DQs in the day that probably changed the status of those 2 athletes' positions in the overall from being maybe top 5 to being quite low down on the list. But a lot was learned, and all of the women here are going to take those experiences back to the bank, put them to work, and get ready to go. What did you think about today?
It was absolutely incredible. We saw so many personal bests. The quality of this competition has just exceeded my expectations today. Like, it was unreal.
Well, it's been a fantastic day here at this Women's International Cup 2024. We're done and dusted. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Signing off from Klingenthal. Take care, everybody, and have a good one. Be safe out there.
Bye, everyone.